This union leadership needs to change. And not only does it need to change, we need competent union leadership. Allow me to be very, very clear. We can no longer afford the luxury of 3 years of 3 years of retreads and recyclables. It is time for a new union competent leadership. I said it once, I will say it again. It is not the words of management that the members should remember, but it is the silence of our union who did not do their job to protect the membership. Charlie Munoz, what you say?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, what did the union do? Where were they during the height of the pandemic? Where were they during contract negotiations? They weren't there. I mean, they haven't been there. They could have shut down the system during the pandemic. Well, the pandemic's still in effect, but I mean, during the height of the pandemic, and without violating the Taylor law, and they didn't. They were just concerned about employee availability because, I think we covered that where they profit from it. Also, I mean, where were they? Where was the PPE? We were working out. I myself was working with just one mask and 2 pairs of gloves per week during the height of the pandemic. And that's why I got sick twice. So it was a union. There was a union leader. Where is John Samuelson? John Samuelson has gone 13 months since Cuomo declared a crisis, a state of emergency over the pandemic. John Samuelson has yet to meet with any members of Local 100. Okay, and he lives in Brooklyn, so he just lives a stone's throw away from the union hall. There is no excuse for him not to meet, or even just. I mean, he doesn't even have to meet. He could have a Zoom meeting with the members, and he has yet to do that. That's our leadership.
Let me bring Anthony Staley in here. Anthony Staley, do you think we need competent union leadership?
Yes, of course. You need competence in every facet of your life when it comes to, direction and as far as what your plans are to do. We had for a long time have incompetent leadership in our union. And that's why our union is in the condition that it is. Incompetent has a way, it's almost like cancer. It just slowly eats away at the entire organization and basically renders the organization useless. And that's what we have in our union right now.
Well, the situation is that, Blocker, do you think we need competent union leadership?
Yes, we do. How do you expect us to follow you when we can't find you? Out of all of this pandemic, they took our AVAs away. We were still made to come to work. Majority of us, I can speak for the CTAs. CTAs didn't get 1 week on and 1 week off. We were still thrown out there in the middle of the battlefield with one mask. Like Charlie already said, he getting one mask, 1 pair of gloves. If it wasn't for the people who I knew to get extra masks and extra gloves and get a lot of the stuff that I needed, they was only allowing me 1 pair of gloves, 1 mask. That don't make sense.
And we had to sign for it too. You remember they were keeping tabs on who uses them. Yeah, so we had to sign for them.
Nobody never shows up because we're out in the cold. They're in.
Well, true leadership inspires. True leadership inspires others to lead. True leadership will stand alone, and they have the courage to make the tough decisions. You see, the first responsibility of leadership is to define the reality of the situation. Real leaders will read a book. And this is the reason why I say that, because today's leadership, if they read a book, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Charlie Munoz, what you say?
Well, I mean, to use my my favorite person, Linwood Richard's words, he once said, leaders are readers, writers are fighters. Too bad he never followed that advice. But yeah, I agree with you. We have no leadership. We just have a bunch of guys in there who are in there on release time or just sitting around doing nothing. And they don't even pick up their phone when you call them. I mean, what kind of leadership is that? They don't stand up to the governor. They don't stand up to the MTA board. They don't stand up to Sarah Feinberg. I mean, these guys are just incompetent. Doesn't even describe them. I can't even describe what they are.
Nincompoops.
Yeah, I guess that's
Basically, what it
perfectly.
is that what it is that they want to be a boss. You know, there's a term that they say, a union boss. Well, a union boss is an oxymoron because a union boss is a parasite. A union boss is a meddler. A union boss should never exist. Now, the last time I checked, workers formed a union to challenge the unbridled authority of management and the workers. Now, what we did is that we elected workers to represent us in negotiations with management. We don't need union bosses. We need union leaders. We need a worker advocate. That's what we need. Charlie Muniz, what you said. Do you think we have worker advocates or people just running for office just to run?
Oh, a lot of people are just running to run. A lot of people are just running for release time. Let me just say that a perfect example of this union's hypocrisy is I saw on their Twitter page that they support the PRO Act. Okay, they support the PRO Act, which is something that we need, with union members need. Okay, to protect us from bosses, etc. But yet this union, they support the PRO Act, but yet they listen, they follow and they listen whatever Cuomo says. So how could they be in favor of worker protection when they don't even protect their own workers? Doesn't make sense. They go to the governor. The governor's the one that's controlling them. When have they said something negative about this governor? I mean, he screwed us with Tier 6. He gave us this contract. I mean, he forced this contract on us 2%. I mean, come on. This governor can't do no wrong in the union leaders' eyes. And we all know that this governor is horrible, but they don't see it.
Let me bring in Brother Ward. Brother Ward, do you think we have competent union leadership?
The mic.
I need.
You know we don't.
Interesting. You were mic'd. You were muted, so go back again. So I'm gonna ask you the question. Do you think we have proper union leadership? Give it to me, sir.
Like I said just before, you know we don't. Everybody knows we don't.
Now, is that because basically, we don't vote appropriately, or basically we just don't care?
See, well, what you got to look at it like, people are becoming complacent. You got a lot of members down here that just don't care. Then you got a lot of members down here that's scared to say anything.
There you go. There you go.
You understand what I'm saying? We all know that the people that's in administration now do not care nothing about us as union members. Okay, look at what we've been through. Look at what we're still going through. We're still in a pandemic. Okay, has it paid? All the people that passed away. Now we may say 170. We're not talking about the family members that actually passed away of the co-workers. The ones that caught the COVID and went home and gave it to their family members and they passed away. We're not talking about them. You understand what I'm saying? We still have a lot that we dealing with on our shoulders, and not once have the union spoke about this issue. As far as the money, the $500,000 that's supposed to be given to the families for the death, do y'all know of anyone who received that money yet?
No.
No one.
Exactly.
No one. So of course we know that the union leadership is full of shit. We know that. What are we going to do? That's what the problem is. What are we going to do?
Let me bring Anthony Staley in here. Staley, has there always been this type of, I'm going to use the C word now. Has there always been this type of corrupt leadership?
It's always been that way. If people really pay attention to this union, is basically slapping the members in the face because they're taking their money and they're not doing anything for them. They're making excuses up for their incompetence. A lot of them really just don't know what they're doing. And the worst thing about it is that over the years, people have been voting for people they like and their friends. But it doesn't mean just because you vote in your friend and you or somebody you like, it doesn't mean they know the job. They know what they're doing. So this is why we've been stuck in this mud where we're not going nowhere. The only people going anywhere is them because they're getting all our money, our dues money, and they're doing, they're living well. And here it is that the membership, we are a paycheck from being poor. Here it is, they're getting 2%, which is exactly what management budgets for the membership, and then they want to for the workers, and they want to mislead you with these stories about, oh, we did this because even if they got a half a percentage over that 2%, they act like it's a victory. Really, 15 cents or $3 for a cup of coffee, as I saw somebody put up. That's supposed to help somebody help somebody with their bills at home, with their child clothing to go to school, stuff of that nature. We lacking far behind, and that's why a lot of unions don't align themselves with us, because we don't speak up. We don't show up like we should. If 70% of this union showed up and showed out, trust me, it would be a whole different picture. It'll be a whole new different game, because you would force the president. If you didn't know your job, guess what? You out of here.
Now, Charlie
You out of
Munoz,
here.
there are people who basically are running. They want to be president. They want to be this. They want to be that. And the situation is that can these candidates get the job done?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know, because I don't know. I can't even answer that, because I haven't seen anything out there that impresses me. I mean, anything that they've done. I mean, do they have a shot at winning? I don't know, because Lee Island mentioned it, and he goes that there's too many. There's actually three candidates so far running against Utano, and if they split that vote, Utano's going to win. So they got to come together. They got to come to some sort of agreement and get together, because we can't let Utano win again. I mean,
what I'm hearing is that the individual that's running, Mr. Naviro Navarro, that primarily he was with Utano for a long time, and then he left to run against him. So that could basically be almost like a Trojan horse to actually split the vote, to legitimately hand it back over to Utano.
Anything is possible. I mean, I see so many things in transit that I thought were impossible, but yeah, anything is possible. We don't. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't see, if they don't group together, all these candidates group together, I can't see Utano being unseated, even though he's incompetent. 40 years in the union, hasn't done anything. His buddy Samuelson, like I said before, 13 months have gone by. He has yet to have a conference call, a Zoom meeting, or meet and greet any of the members. And he lives in Brooklyn. Inexcusable. A man who's supposed to be a leader of 45,000 members, just of the local 100, because there's other locals, and we're the largest local in the international, and he can't even meet with us. I mean, I can understand if he lived in Washington, D.C., but he lives right there in Brooklyn. And inexcusable. It's just inexcusable.
Oh, let me bring Anthony Staley in here real quick. Sir, you have Mrs. Evangeline Byers, you have David Navarro, and you have Lee Ireland. Now, the situation is that Mrs. Byers is definitely running, okay? And the other two are definitely running. How in the world are they going to coexist? Which of the two is going to walk away? Because Mrs. Byers made it very, very clear. She's running all the way to the presidency.
Well, at one point somebody gotta come come to terms with the facts of what is required, what is needed, what is best for the membership, and stop thinking about their own selfish goals. Uh, I agree with the fact that having too many tickets will split the vote, and more than likely will allow him to go in, Utano back in. But also, people have to sit down and meet at some point and come to a common goal of exactly what's going to be done, or else they're just going to be like spinning their wheels in the mud and not getting anywhere.
Let me bring Brother Welcome in here. Welcome to you, Brother Welcome. I want to ask you a question, sir. How do we, as members, make a proper choice when you have 3 prominent candidates? What do we look for?
First of all, there's not 3 prominent candidates. The only solid, complete slate that's running is the slate where Tremel Thompson, Paulie Navarro, Joe Campbell, etc., have put together a slate to run against Utano and company.
You think they have a chance, sir?
Lee Ireland does not have a complete slate,
Right.
and Evangeline Baez does not have a clean slate, a complete slate. And so people are grandstanding in hopes of 2 things. One, that somebody picked them up, or 2, to allow the incumbents to go back into office and they be some type of force to be reckoned with. That's what it is. Now, dealing with that slate with Paul Navarro, Michael Cordero, Joe Campbell, and Tremel Thompson. Listen, our history has already shown us. It has shown us. We've seen so many snakes in the grass, and it's our grass. And we've been feeding the snakes. And instead of cutting the heads, we cutting the tails. So can that be a setup? Oh, yes, it can. Yes, it can. It's history repeating itself.
So are you saying
But-
that there could be a setup for Utano to actually?
Yeah, of course, of course, of course, of course. All of a sudden, your enemies are your best friends. All of a sudden, your enemies is willing to work with you in spite of the luggage you have, because it's so ironic. All of a sudden now, Tremel is their best friend, and he doesn't have no luggage. We all have luggage, but you willing to forego that with a chance of possibly unseating Utano? It's not happening. Then you throw Lee Ireland in, a good guy, good
Yes.
intentions. He really should have been one. Many of people should have jumped on a slate that he was on, because if nothing else, he has a certain honesty, and he believes in giving the members back the power that we've lost. Ms. Byers, dedicated person, hardworking, but she is exactly in the seat that Tremel was in the last go round. The exact same seat. Not willing to compromise, not willing to work with people, and just looking for the big picture. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty before you stand up and let the Johnny Pump hose you off. You got to get your hand dirty, you know? So with that said, and so that's why we have a setup that's going to be a failure. That's set up to fail.